is up, NFL fans? It is your boy, Kevin Phillip Fox, and we are back for our biggest episode of the year. Every year, we have our first round mock draft. I prefer the term extravaganza. Somebody in the who was labeling it called it a bonanza. I'm okay with that. I prefer extravaganza, but it is a bonanza today. Armand's in the chat already setting things off, and you guys already know I can't do this stuff alone. My man, partner from Down Under, Adrian Revito, is here with me to podcast once again. Adrian, how the hell are you?
They're an extravaganza guy.
More than bonanza. They're both cool.
That's how you roll.
I'm more of an extra because I like the extra component of it. You know, it feels like it's a little bigger. Like a bonanza is like more chaotic, but an extravaganza is more extravagant. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like in our podcasting kind of careers together, we really haven't had too many bumps in the road. This feels like one of those like turning points, if you will. I don't want to say
heading towards a divorce at this point. Yeah. Let's be honest. But you know what? It's okay because I already have my next one lined up for when you and me inevitably split. Brian McFadden.
You got to bring it in properly. Wait, time.
Brian McFadden, the GOAT, ladies and gentlemen. Money Mac is here. Bring him in. He needs it with the boom.
What's up, boys? I'm back for today. Anyway, wasn't gonna miss this episode. I gotta side with Adrian on this one. I like Bonanza.
I'm devastated. I'm crushed. So my side piece, my next one is picking my ex.
So maybe you're the ex. Maybe Adrian and I are the
cold, but that's okay. I'm on the cold, but I'm not alone because I know there's one person who will never abandon me, and that is Legit Football's longtime producer, Anthony Weiner, who is here as well. Set it off, bro.
Hey guys, how's it going, man?
Good to see you, bro. Good to have you back.
So here's the thing, Kev. Everybody uses extravaganza.
It's true.
No, but I don't see a lot of bonanza out there, and I used to live on Bonanza Drive when I was a kid. I just think it's
that's a good
sweet
reason. But
hashtag sheep will wake up, Kevin. Wake up.
Cliches are cliche for a reason. That's why it's the most popular one.
Yeah, look, you know, can I be really honest with you? That we've used the extravaganza, and I can't remember what it was for. It might have been the sports betting one where we sort of talk about sports betting for an entire, because we're degenerate gamblers. So that's why I went bonanza because we've used extravaganza before. I didn't want to
You got to diversify.
Got to diversify. Yeah. Absolutely. Listen, Jimmy Ray, please harass Jimmy Ray. Go to NFL Stats on Twitter and harass him for not being here. But we got a long mock draft to get to. Adrian, did you have any interest in any legit headlines today?
No, we're gonna go straight into the.
I think that's the way to do it. These episodes always run long.
Good. I was gonna bounce if you guys mentioned Aaron Rodgers. I'm just. We put a little footnote in legit. Oh, that was it. I'm like, we're not doing a whole article on him.
No, Aaron Rodgers extravaganza coming up next week. With Brian McFadden solo.
I do think that we'd be remiss to not tell everybody to go to legitfootball.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter. One of the best ways to get your news as an NFL fan, the best, really, to be honest. 5 or 6 headlines every day. Fearless leader Joe is feverishly working on those every day, and co-owner Brian McFadden here, bringing you the news. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Adrian, who's kicking off the draft today?
So we might, I think, and I'm going to get you when you can pop up to present. We might have to. Oh, you're presenting. We'll have to change the layout. I'm going to remove you.
While he's doing that, I just want to say that I this is one of my favorite episodes to do back when I was hosting this. And so when I had an opportunity the Friday before the draft starts, I'm like, dude, we got to do mock draft bonanza, and I'm here for it.
Bonanza. It has to be a bonanza or else no Brian. That's what he
said.
We're
going to keep saying it until that's what sticks in your head, Kev. It's going to be bonanza. We're just going to outbrand you.
I'm such an extravaganza guy.
Next year, I'll make an extravaganza and we'll chastise you for not being on board with it. Like,
exactly. We'll get him finally up to that finish line of like, I'm good on bonanza. We're like, no, it's extravaganza. What's wrong with you?
Just gaslight and then reverse gaslight. There's nothing
exactly.
There's truly nothing better.
So first up, look, we had to put Brian in first slot, even though it's a foregone conclusion at this point. He's the boss.
Absolutely.
So are we here? Am I getting some like ESPN on the clock music? How are we running it this year, boys?
We haven't got on the clock music this year. I don't know. We've got a sound. I'm sure we can whip something up. No, we don't have a sound.
I feel like Anthony has used that in the past. Do you have old sound drops, Anthony? Like See, there we go. Oh, it was on Kev's phone. Whatever, that works. That works. We're DIY here.
Just ESPN, don't sue us.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
All right. Well, the 2025 annual mock draft Bonanza. Caught myself. Legit football style is now on the clock. I mean, this is going to be the least dramatic pick. And in a draft, I think you guys would agree that is highly unpredictable. This is the one pick everybody kind of knows. Dude is even on Fortnite telling people that Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard are the best running backs, and Calvin Ridley, but Treylon Burks is a top 4 wide receiver.
What a joke. But you know what? Good for him. He's a leader. You can tell.
Hey, good. You know what? If you know you're going number 1 to the Titans, it is good to call out your teammates. We're talking about Cameron Ward out of the University of Miami. Look, it says right on their top need quarterback Titans. Now, I know this is not a quarterback class that we've seen certainly last year, and there's talks that the 2026 QB class is going to look pretty nice too. But if you're Tennessee, if you're Brian Kelly, you have to take a guy here. You have to try to get the one guy who has that upside. I'd probably put Cam Ward at like QB 4 or 5 if this was last year. But you're at 1. How many more times are you going to be at 1? It's got to be Cam Ward. I think it's a no-brainer, even if you're not completely sold on Ward as a prospect.
Yep. And 2 things. Adrian, I'm sorry. I have to say something.
Please.
I was having audio issues for the whole first 6 minutes of the podcast, and they just got fixed. And I'm so happy to hear your voices. I was like, it was this plug. I checked every plug but this one.
So it was literally you just didn't have it plugged in.
Literally, it was.
How long you been? This is your first podcast, Ken?
Brian, first in a while. It was slightly ajar. That's number 1. Number 2, I finally got into college football way more nerdily last year, and I watched a lot of Miami games because Jim Kelly went to Miami. Willis McGahee went to Miami, who was my favorite player when I first started watching football. So I kind of am a pseudo Miami fan, and Cam Ward can ball, man. He can ball. He brought them back from so many insane deficits. I think it's an excellent pick, and I'm actually a little surprised that because usually I test QBs in college. There's some like random reason that you're like, oh, they're not the guy. But this year, like the eye test and the consensus one, in my opinion, lined up.
Yeah, and I mean, look, being QB4 in last year's draft is not a bad thing. You've got 4 starting caliber, 4 good to great QBs in that draft. And I don't want to say that about Caleb Williams, but I'll be, you know what? Look, I won't be a hater today.
He might be the biggest question mark now.
Weirdly, if I had to pick, if I had to redraft it, he'd be number 4. But anyway, my point being is that being QB4 from last year's draft sounds like an insult. It's actually not. You can absolutely be a good to great QB in the league by being QB4. Can we address Arman's questions here? Just because he is the OG. So the rules, Arman, is we can trade and probably will throughout. And as far as the Jet selection, that's up to Money Mac because that's his selection and he wants to hand it over to you.
I'll take care of you, Arman. Feel free to put your thoughts in the chat.
I love it.
Cool. All right. Next up, Kevin for the Browns.
You know, it's hard for this player to not be one, given the insane talent. I was the champion
just real quick to clarify, I'm curious because I'm approaching this if I'm the GM of these teams. Is that how we're doing it, or are we doing like prediction style?
I think my personal picks will be a mix.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think this one, it lines up predictively and what I would do if I was the Browns GM. I was actually the leader in the clubhouse I was banging the drum for this dude for the Heisman. And the fact that I don't know if you guys were on Heisman Twitter last year, but it was so toxic. It was so volatile betwing.
Sounds like all like the rest of Twitter. I don't know.
How's that different in Twitter? That's not toxic.
Yeah, but I was banging the drum for the Travis Hunter Heisman, and he's the no-brainer slam dunk pick at number 2. Guy could be an all-pro on both sides of the ball. He did it, and not just bashfully or not just situationally. He was 100% snaps player, and that's remarkable to me. And he was not just good or great; he was elite on both sides of the ball. And I think the only question is deployment. Anthony brought up in the pre-show that his comments about he would want to quit football forever if he couldn't do both. I think that's a little how the youngsters say cap, but we'll see. I
learned a new expression just now.
Yeah, that's cap. He's capping. I think they'll deploy situationally if we're talking, you know me, I got to get my fantasy angles in there. I'm not afraid of him from a fantasy perspective. I would still make him a very high pick in rookie drafts.
Yeah, it feels like he'll probably go the other way. I mean, I know in college he would sort of prep with the defense and just jump into certain sets, or jump in as a wide receiver, but not do his weekly prep with the offense. And it feels like it'll go the other way in the NFL. And I think if you're smart, you would do that, particularly if you're the Browns.
Yeah,
I mean, Andrew Berry essentially said as much. They view him as a wide receiver, but they understand that he's this is, by the way, this is truly, that you use the word generational talent. This dude's literally a generational talent. You don't get guys that are the top cornerback and the top wide receiver prospect in the same year and the same human being. So you get a guy like that. Cleveland understands that wide receiver is where he's, and here we're using the PFF mock draft simulator, shout out PFF. They've got him listed as a cornerback, but I think at this point, most of the teams, including Andrew Berry in Cleveland, view him as a wide receiver primarily, but they will not shy away from using his talent on the defensive side of the ball strategically.
And you'd be silly not to. Like, you know,
Yes.
having that there allows you to do so much more. They compared him to, now I'm going to say this wrong because I don't like baseball because I like real sports, but taking shots at baseball. But he's an Otani. He's just the unicorn in the sport, and that's how he kind of is seen around the league.
Dion.
Yep. Yeah.
It's awesome. It's incredible to see. And, you know, that was my thing last Heisman season. I love Genty. He's awesome. I can't wait to talk about him on today's episode. But we've seen like running backs break college football with crazy stats. We've never seen a player be all pro on both sides of the ball. That is
not since like the 30s or something.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Like
back when everybody was playing both sides.
Literally, and you could just rip a sig on the sideline and then go and score 5 touchdowns. That the good old days, in my opinion. All right, Aid.
All right, this might be uber loud. I'm just gonna do a bit of background work here.
Thank you. Oh,
beautiful.
There we go. All right.
Okay.
So this is, and it does. Yeah. Sometimes I do some things.
By the way, the draft starts now. Right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't just mean because we got the music, but I mean, like, I think these are the 2 picks that we're pretty sure are going to happen. This is where it gets spicy, so I'd love to see.
3? You don't think? I think there might be one more chalk.
Well, I'm curious to hear what you think chalk is.
I have to disagree. Yeah, I got to disagree.
Let's hear what Adrian says.
If Travis Hunter wasn't off the board, I think he'd be going now, and I actually wouldn't even like. I don't know. It depends how far Sanders drops, whether either the Browns in this case or the Giants jump back into the first to try and get him and pair him. But with him gone, I feel like Abdul Carter is probably the next best player.
I think that's a little chalky.
Holes everywhere. Yeah. Well, I agree with you, but PFF ranks him as number 2 in the entire class.
He's
the
so
Giants
good.
need a game wrecker, and they've got Russ as QB. All right, he's not gonna break any world records. But you got Malik Neighbors, who just absolutely balled out last year. He has what is hopefully a better quarterback situation this year. You get Abdul Carter on the defense, and you hope that he's able to get the ball back into Russ's hands a lot more often, and then they can actually be a little bit competitive on both sides of the ball as opposed to last year. But it is a bit chalky, and I appreciate it.
No, and I'm not, and I wasn't saying that to make fun of you or disparage you.
But I took it personally.
I could tell.
And I took that as an insult.
No, I just mean, to me, I think the draft starts at 4, but I think we're still in kind of Chalkville, just based on what I've seen. Just, you know, I can't even knock the Giants for that. Like, Dable and Shane need a blue chip. Do I think they need a quarterback? Do I think they need a savior? Do I think they need some hope to sell? Absolutely. But Sanders is just under the tier of a player who I think they could comfortably take at 3 and be like, this is our guy, and move forward with it. I think Carter is that generational, could be. There's a lot of comparisons to Micah Parsons. It's same college, same jersey number, makes sense. But this could be their Micah Parsons, and they already have Brian Burns and Thibodeau, so they're going to have an absolutely explosive defensive line, I think.
I mean, depending on how you have your rankings, there's essentially 3 blue chip players in this entire draft. If you want to count Cam Ward as a blue chip, maybe 4, but essentially Carter, Hunter, Genty. Like, those are the guys that they are superstar studs in that, and that's it.
Yeah.
So if you're the Giants, I do think, Adrian mentioned if Hunter's there, I think the Giants thought Hunter might be there. I thought they thought the Browns were taking Carter. And then when all the news started saying, no, they're going to be taking Hunter, I think that's when they pulled Sanders back in for that private workout. They're like, okay, we're not getting Hunter.
Yeah.
We probably want to get Carter, but let's take a look at this quarterback one last time. Do we want to use this high of a pick on him? So I don't have any inside info on that, but that's my gut saying the Giants wanted to have one last look at him because they really thought Travis Hunter was going to follow them at 3.
And I think they're a prime trade back into the first round candidate.
Yes.
Shador falls.
And for that very reason, I'm excited when the 3 of us get to the end because I think we might see some shenanigans for multiple teams trying to come back up and get a quarterback.
And that makes it a bonanza.
Bonanza. We got him already, Adrian. It's only 3 picks in and he's come around.
Shenanigans makes it a bonanza. Okay.
Yeah.
Adrian, you were going to say something. Sorry, bro.
I was gonna say. And now I lost my train of thought because I want to make fun of the bonanza thing. But I think I do think right. The Giants are going to be a little bit conservative in terms of this is my opinion, right? This is again no inside info. They kind of got made a little bit of a fool of last year between the Hard Knocks thing and Saquon Barkley going and win. So I just feel like they're going to be cautious about going against the grain because they're so easy to get ripped at the moment in public facing. Yeah. They're so easy to be made fun of that they don't really have they're not. Not to jump into I love Howie mode, but they're not Howie Roseman who can take a swing and if it misses, they're kind of like he hits 95%. They're kind of like they've missed 95%. You need to go with the consensus here.
Yep. And before we move on, great time to check in now that chalk feels over. Congrats to Armand on his weight loss journey. You're killing it, dude. Also,
wow, dude lost like 150 pounds. That's awesome, remarkable.
Man. Almost 200, actually.
Total weight loss 197 pounds. That's more than me. That is more than a Money Mac.
The degeneracy in our chat. We'll leave those ones. We won't put those public, but shout out to Joe Crack. Thanks for being here. Anyways, Brian McFadden, you have the next one for us.
So this is, I literally just mentioned there's 3 blue chip players. Vrabel's not going to go running back at 4, right? He's got to rebuild this entire roster. He's a trench guy, but there's no elite prospects left. So this is, and you've seen a lot of news out there that teams are interested in trading back and no one's interested in trading up. So we're in a little bit of a conundrum. I'll throw it out there. The Patriots are shopping pick 4. If either of you has a guy that you'd be willing to pay the right price to come up to 4, give it a minute to decide. But
yeah, let me take a glance.
Yeah, hold on. Let me think about this.
I mean, so we're looking at the PFF big board that they have. They've got Tedderell McMillan at 3. I don't think the Patriots and Mike Vrabel are going to use a wide receiver pick at 4, and I like McMillan. I don't think he's a number 4 overall pick. We don't have the same top of the receiver class that we had last year. There's no Neighbors, there's no Harrison, there's no Adunze, and Vrabel has so much to rebuild, and I think he's going to want to build in the trenches first. So there's only so many places you can go here.
What I'm seeing is most of the destinations that I'm managing have options that I'm comfortable with stick and picking. But I will be getting active when we get a little farther down the board. I think the price is going to be too steep for every single team I'm managing right now.
Yeah, and thank you
for the opportunity.
And exposing the bathrobe here, I'm kind of similar. I was thinking about bringing the Cowboys up because I feel like they could use a Genty, or I actually petitioned to change his name to Jonty because I like it better. But
Jonty.
To jump ahead of one of my other teams, the Raiders, who are looking at him, but I feel like they would be comfortable sitting back and getting a wide receiver. So I'm going to say no.
And exposing the bathrobe, I had the same thought with Denver. Just throwing that out there with Genty.
And I expected those exact answers from you guys. I at least wanted to give you a shot. As I expect, the Patriots will give a shot and probably get the exact same responses. So not loving the value here, but my number one priority has to be either protecting Drake May or getting weapons for Drake May. Thought about Mason Graham. I think he's the better prospect, but it's not like there's a huge difference here. So I am going to go offensive tackle, and I am, even though some say he's a guard and arm link, I'll go Will Campbell.
100%.
Offensive tackle out of LSU.
Yeah, exactly what I would have done. And
I would have loved to have taken him at like 8. Yeah. But
spoiler alert, Brian, Patriots are the clubhouse favorite to be my offseason darling team this year. That's been
already?
No, I'm not going to let him. I'm not allowing him.
No, that might be your first whiff, Kev. They have so much work to do.
They said that about Washington. They said that about Houston. I will not be afraid I will not be afraid. And Campbell here would further solidify them as the offseason favorite. Put it away,
Wait,
Adrian.
what was that? What came
Put
up?
it away,
This is a
Adrian.
little bit of an inside joke. This is from a previous show. I
Ha,
think this is the one with
That was
we already got
bad.
one. We already got one.
We
Yeah,
had
so-
all 22 Chris on the show, and we picked our offseason darling teams. That's when I picked Jaden Daniels in Washington. And 2 for 2. Let's make it 3 for 3, Drake. Come on, do your thing.
By the way, quick shout out. I don't know if you guys seen, we started a mock draft contest in the Legit Football newsletter by Pickpool. Pickpool is actually run by the all 22 guys.
That's awesome. I love those guys.
So
man.
shout out to Chris, Ray, and Bobby. Make sure to go into the Legit Football newsletter. We're going to be running it every day through next Wednesday, the day before the draft. It's completely free. You can enter up to 5 mock drafts, and you can win $300 for first place or $100 for second place. So actual cash prizes. Just download the iOS app or go to the link, enter your mocks into the Legit Football contest, and maybe you win some money.
Yeah, and there's 413 of you, so there's really no excuse for you not to do that. I mean, it sounds like fun. And while we get this show on the road, if everybody's ready to roll, my number 5 pick at Jacksonville is, thank you very much, not up for grabs, not for sale, and I think this is a slam dunk pick for them. It matches a need. It matches close to the best player available. I got to take Mason Graham out of Michigan. I think he fits their mold. I think he fits what they're doing. And I don't think we've talked about it, Brian, and it's kind of a theme of today's, because I think this is going to be a chaotic draft. But I think if there was a chalk 5, this is the chalk 5.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Chalk light.
Chocolate.
Chalk light. Diet
Yeah.
chalk.
Diet chalk, exactly. Like protein shake.
It's weird, right? Though with the Jags, I don't know why this is. I just feel like, as far as the top 10 teams of the picks, they can all take someone that could realistically turn their season around, and I just don't feel that way about the Jags, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's just gut feel, but I'm sorry if you're a Jags fan. I just don't feel hopeful for you next season. But this is about as good a pick as you could get.
No confidence in Trev.
Yeah, Prince was promised.
Prince
Promised.
was promised.
I don't know if we can call him that anymore.
I mean,
He was promised.
will always be. I mean, he will always have been the prince who was promised. He just might not have ever assumed the throne.
I feel like we used to say the prince that's promised, and now his was promised because
Past
You gotta-
tense.
Yeah, you got to throw the was in there because we're getting to that time. I mean, he's got the bag. Like he's
The promise
good
has
player.
expired. The promise
Yeah.
was not fulfilled.
broken promises. I feel good if Aid's ready to hop in with number 6, which is a massive. Brian, this is a domino. This is where the draft starts to me, if I'm being honest.
Well, I foreshadowed this before, right? And I have to, Howie, cover your ears, baby, because this guy's got the GM's got the best name, John Spytek. All right. He even talked about his son disowning him if they didn't take Genty. And I feel like Pete Carroll here, you're gonna want to pound the rock. I just feel like this is gonna be a hit. And I really considered cornerback here because I feel like the Raiders need help there. But I'm gonna put Genty at number 6. He goes to the Raiders. He goes to Pete Carroll, and I feel like he does. I don't know how this is going to work because it's such a hard division, but he had his open letter to the NFL GM saying that he's there to do what Saquon did. I really hope he does that.
Pretty baller.
Yeah, it is, but it's one of those things that, like, it's kind of like a Josh Rosen. There were 9 mistakes before me. That could age really poorly if you don't go out there and kill it.
But he's gonna. So
Yeah, I hope so too.
Absolutely. And while we wait for Brian McFadden, he's back already. That was fast. Quick.
My dog opened the door. I had to run and close it real quick.
Right. All right. Well, without further ado, Brian, why don't you step in and give Armand what the people need? Good Jets pick.
Yeah, so I don't know what the people want. They've got Justin Field. They paid him enough. They're not going to take a quarterback this high, although it wouldn't surprise me if they draft one later on. Wide receiver obviously is a need. They don't have anybody opposite Garrett Wilson, but once again, don't like any of the receivers at this level. Tyron Smith retired, although he didn't really do much for the Jets. Morgan Moses is off to New England. You have no choice but to get an offensive tackle in there. So even though 2 of my 3 picks have been offensive tackles, you got to do it. Mimbo might end up being the best tackle in this class after it's all said and done. If Campbell doesn't quite translate to tackle as well as some people think, so I am going to go Armand Mimbu, offensive tackle out of Missouri.
I love it.
Eat your vitamins, eat your veggies, kind of pick for the Jets at 7.
100%. Yep, it's not sexy, it's not flashy, but you know what? That is how great teams become great.
Armand. He's got the same name. I'm curious to hear if that if he want me to like, is it a Tyler Warren? Do Jets fans want Warren at 7? He loves it. Okay, all caps. That's all we need.
He loves it.
Namesake and everything.
Yep, I love it. Adrian, any qualms?
No, not at all. I think the Tyler Warren kind of train was building up, but it feels like this is the right move. Tyler Warren's probably a little bit more flashy, and I understand that, but I feel like Aaron Glenn is kind of a bit more of a calculated dude, and I feel like this is the right move, and this is going to keep Justin Fields upright a little bit longer. He's, he can make things happen with his legs, but the longer you keep him comfortable, because he can be spooked pretty easily, the longer you keep him comfortable, the better. So this seems like the smart move.
Yep, and next up, Carolina. Me pick.
I feel bad doing this every time, but I'm going to interrupt you.
Oh, please do. I think it's amazing.
The song has to hit. You cannot make a pick until the song hits.
I'll give you guys 30 seconds if anybody has any interest in coming up to 8. Because I have a guy who I'm comfortable sticking and picking. A guy I really like. I like the fit. I'm really between 2, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I think realistically, there's one. Brian, this is where the predictive might kick in. I'm like a Madden player. I'm like a fantasy player, so I'm always going to take the flashy, sexy pick. But I think predictively, I'm leaning between 2 guys, and I think one of them just makes more sense for the team and for the organization than for my desire to have flashy toys.
If you hadn't said that, I want to jump up. But if you hadn't said that, no, I'm gonna hold.
So you're afraid of me taking Tyler Warren.
No, I am not.
Oh, okay. Because that's I'm looking. He's interesting.
But I'm comfortable with you taking him.
I'm not gonna take him. That's who I was compelled to take. But I think responsibly, Jalen Walker is the pick here. Edge out of Georgia, just stud. They got to make up for the Brian Burns not debacle, because they had to get rid of him. They weren't going to be able to pay him for where they were heading as an organization in their life cycle. They need their blue chips on. I guess they're not necessarily blue chip, but they need their great elite players on rookie deals. And I think Jalen Walker is the exact guy that they need for where they're at in their life cycle as a team, especially if you think Bryce Young is the guy. Which there was some Bryce Young being the guy smoke building at the end of last season.
And you traded away Brian Burns the season before.
Yep.
Definitely need some pass rush there.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the right pick.
It's
agree.
Responsible. It's
responsible
again,
is the right word. There's a lot of responsible picks that we're gonna make in this draft until maybe towards the end with the QB drama. But yeah,
when you're in the trenches, when you're like, you got to build through the trenches. Like it's so corny, and you hate to hear it when you're a fan, because you're like, I want a player who's gonna go score 10 touchdowns, and I can buy their jersey, and I can see him on a Wheaties box. Nah, man, you need somebody who's going to go get after the QB. That's what you need.
You want somebody eating all the Wheaties.
Literally, bro. Literally, bro.
All right, now I'm very excited to see where Adrian goes at 9. This is where I think the fun is really going to begin. Yes.
I'll just quickly on the Panthers there. A couple of mocks have got him taking a wide receiver, and that's where I sort of got a bit itchy with the Cowboys to jump up, but I don't see anyone in between the Panthers and the Cowboys that are even likely to take a wide receiver. So I didn't feel like I needed to jump up for that. But that's where I was going when you said you like flashy toys.
Who did you think it was?
I thought you might either take a Ted McMillan or a Matthew Golden.
They just drafted Leggett. I don't think it's. I think they gotta give him a chance to earn the job.
That's fair enough. All right, so this
Jalen Coker came up last year too.
Yeah,
I mean, I agree. I'd be shocked if they go wide receiver at 8.
So this is hard, right? Because with the news of Derek Carr being injured, I believe the odds-on favorite of QB being drafted have gone up significantly, and it kind of feels like that's where they should go, despite desperately needing a cornerback. Yeah, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Shedeur. I had
Can't
to
be
think
mad at
about it,
that.
but look,
Can't be
it's
mad
too
at
early.
that.
You know what? I even contemplated Jackson Dart above him, but let's
Ooh,
take that.
That
Let's
would have
take that
been
aside.
nuts.
no, sir.
Yeah, yeah. That's I don't think the Saints are in a position to be taking taking shots, I guess, against the grain. So I think look, the Saints have publicly asked Derek Carr to take a haircut. He didn't. He's now injured, likely going to, or I don't know if it's likely, but he definitely is contemplating surgery. They're going to need a QB in there. You take Sanders, you put him in a situation that is not ideal, but it's not terrible. And you hope that Callum Moore can work a little bit of his magic, make him comfortable, get him some quick releases, and work on the things that needed to be worked on throughout the season. And that's kind of, I'm only putting him here because of the news about Derek Carr. Otherwise, I don't think I would be. But that's where I'm at. Thoughts?
It's a huge domino to fall, and it's a huge domino to fall next Thursday. I think a lot is going to hinge on whether the Saints pick, because I think we're all in agreement the Giants aren't going to take Sanders at 3, or we'd be shocked if they do. So the next chance for Sanders to get picked, because I also don't think anybody's going to trade up this high for him. I think if he gets to the teens, you could be talking about the Steelers making a move up.
Yeah.
But this high, no. So it really depends on if the Saints decide to take him at 9. So in this scenario, they do.
You don't see
The
any
dominoes
chance
have started to fall.
the
I should have
Raiders-
offered a trade back. I actually should have given you guys a second because I could see them trade
I don't.
back.
I don't control Pittsburgh, but I just don't. The Steelers are not the trade up to 9 type of organization.
Do you guys rule out Shador to the Raiders at 6? I think I could see it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I could see
They
it.
They did not pay Geno backup money. They did not trade
Yeah.
Geno to be a backup.
Yeah.
If there's no Geno, if it's still Aiden O'Connell
Yeah.
back there, then yes.
No,
But
it's a
I
fair
think they
point.
did that because
They want to
Pete
start
is-
him.
He's comfortable with Geno.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the starter for at least 2 seasons if he's playing well there. They'd rather add some other pieces.
I'm not sure, but is his contract? Can they get out of it after a year? Because if they could, then I wouldn't rule it out. Because you get him in, he's kind of. I know he's touted as a starting level prospect, right? And cards on the table. I don't watch enough Shador Sanders through the season to know if that's not the case. I can only go off draft experts analysis and a little bit of tape. But if they can get out of the Geno contract, I could see it. To answer your question.
It's essentially like a 2-year deal. So, I mean, anybody can get out of anything with some pain, but it makes
sometimes when
sense
it's
if
easy,
traditionally looking at the contract, it seems like Geno is there for the 25 and 26 seasons.
Yep. And I like Shador's game a lot. He takes too many sacks. He kind of reminds me of like Caleb a little bit, just less of a good athlete. Like he's not as
A lot less of a good athlete.
Just not as mobile, but he is
Son of
similar-
Dion, not an athlete at all.
Weird,
Yeah.
But he I watched a lot of Colorado games. He does have some dog in him. He does throw a good ball. He's very accurate. It's fitting he goes to New Orleans. Kind of, he's a little molded in the Drew Brees type. So that'll be fun to see how he does there. I'm looking forward to it. Good pick, Abe.
I don't watch a lot of college anymore, but I spend, as soon as the Senior Bowl hits, I spend the next 2+ months deep in
Grinding the
rookie
tape.
scouting. Yeah, it's not
Look at this.
less tape honestly than
Brian's
Brian's
face. I know a killer when I see him.
Yeah,
You're the king.
100%. I get locked in. You don't understand. I've got
I love
multiple
it.
screens. I've got notepads
That's
here.
spreadsheets.
I've got spreadsheets. That's how I do it. But yeah, so Sanders is a very great anticipatory thrower. Does not have the strongest arm, but doesn't make many mistakes. Very few interceptions, but he does hold the ball and wait for something to open up. He had a horrible offensive line in Colorado, but he still would be known, even when he had good protection, to just hold it for too long and take too many sacks. He's going to be a nice safe if he gets in an offense, and we'll see if Kellen Moore is that kind of play caller here that can, like, he'd be great in a Shanahan style. He's a great Shanahan style because he's good at reading the field, because he's good at throwing anticipatory throws, doesn't mind throwing across the field. You don't need to have a rocket arm to play in a Shanahan offense. But that means his ceiling is limited, and there's only certain spots I think make sense for him, which is why picking a guy at 9, that's the issue, which is I'd be more comfortable with him in the teens or 20s, personally.
Yeah. All right, Brian, you got the Bears at 10.
Let's go to Chicago. I think it is the foregone conclusion that the Bears take their next starting running back in this draft. I do not do it at 10, though, because this is such a rich running back draft, and there are guys you can get in the 2nd, third, fourth round that'll be better starters than DeAndre Swift at this point in his career. So because of that, it's not even a positional value thing. Because if there was only one stud running back, I would consider that for the Bears. It's just because there are so many good running backs in this draft. To give you an idea, just from a fantasy perspective, guys, I rank my fantasy. I do fantasy player rankings. I don't release them to the public. I will eventually, I'm sure, for legit. But I'm in like 15 dynasty leagues. I don't want to reveal my secrets.
I don't blame you because I'll steal him.
Last year, I had 9 draftable running backs. Draftable as in first 4 rounds of a fantasy dynasty draft. This year, I have like 22. So just to show you the depth.
Good to know.
So just because of that reason, I'm not going to go running back here. They've just signed a couple of the defensive backs. I need a playmaker, right? I'm Ben Johnson. I remember what Sam Laporta was able to do for us in Detroit. I am going to go Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. Now, I really like Colston Loveland too. For me, they're like 1A and 1AA. That's how close they are. They're just different types of prospects. And Warren really brings you that after catch ability that I think Ben is really going to want to utilize. Move him around the formation, get him on the move, get him in space. You've got so many other weapons there with DJ Moore. I think Adunze is going to have a huge year in year 2. And then whatever running back they draft, they've done a lot to upgrade their line, and you still have Caleb Williams, who was one of the top prospects in a while at quarterback last year. So I just think adding one more piece like a Tyler Warren, it's going to be hard for Chicago to say no to him at 10.
I like it.
Yeah, I like the pick. I think because obviously they would have gone line if they hadn't rebuilt most of the 4 out of 5 positions on there. But doing that, and I don't know, maybe I just see Ben Johnson as a bit of a, he's got that mad scientist vibe. Like he's redone the line, gets another weapon, and hashtag Bears off-season champions. There's the haterade.
Hey, between the 3 of us, all right. There's 510 people in the they're watching, but let's pretend it's just the 3 of us. Okay, I'm whispering in your ears now. If I'm a Cole, and Brian, you talked about
your mic's going in and out, but I'm assuming you're talking about Cole Kmet.
Are we back?
Yeah.
Is this thing on?
Yeah.
If I'm a Cole Kmet dynasty owner, or if I'm a Travis Etienne, because you talked about 22 draftable running backs. If I'm a Travis Etienne owner, are those the 2 bags that you don't want to be holding after the draft?
Maybe I would not want to be holding a Travis Etienne bag before the draft because I think Bigsby outplayed him last year.
Okay, so hypothetically, Kmet, Etienne, Swift, those are some of your biggest.
They might be dead money
get
at this
out.
point.
Okay.
If you can take whatever you can, because I think people realize we're 6 days from the draft, so I don't think you're gonna get a big price for any of those guys. I would just take what you can get and move on.
Interesting. This is about the time where
not for me.
This is about the time where Kevin sends me a trade request for Cole Kmet and he wants 2 firsts. Like this is about that time.
That sounds about right for Kevin Phillip Fox. Yeah,
6 firsts. I'm thankful to be here at 11, and I'm thankful to. We've had our eyes on a guy, SF John Lynch. We've had our eyes on a guy really since the opening tip, and we just didn't see a way where it was going to line up for us, but it did. We had a big loss that we have to replace on the defensive side of the ball. We brought Robert Saleh back over. I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna go grab the CB1 in the draft in Will Johnson.
Corner, okay.
And I'm stoked.
And Will Johnson, and Will Johnson's your cornerback 1.
Yeah, still Will Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think somebody else?
I thought you were going edge rusher there, so I was like, oh okay.
I think edge is on the board, but I think the edge rushers beyond the top couple are more like dice rolls, and I think Will Johnson's a home run. That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
I really like Johnson. I like Johnson. I think he got a knock with the athletic testing and all that, and the injury. But if you just watch his tape, I think he's the number 1 corner. Some people will say it's Barron out of Texas, who's also great. But I like Johnson.
Niners have never been overly reliant on athletic corners. Like Ward's wasn't a crazy athlete, so I think this is the guy for the scheme. I do. I feel good about it.
I'm not gonna hate on the pick. I just kind of, as you were saying that, I had a quick look at a couple of different like mocks to see who people had the Niners taking. And a couple of people had him with linebacker, and that makes sense because Shanahan loves a good, big, physical linebacker. But I understand. I think that's an okay pick.
I will.
You can hear the
graciously
non-enthusiasm in my voice.
I will graciously accept your grade of okay.
All right. Ready to roll?
Adrian,
Sorry,
wait,
with it.
can I say something?
Please.
On my first mock draft with Legit Football, myself and Brian McFadden went shot for shot. I don't even know if you were a twinkle in our eye yet. And I famously took a running back with Dallas, the second running back in the first round. And Brian said, no, don't do that. It's a bad pick. And it was Jahmyr Gibbs. And look at Jahmyr Gibbs now. He is now one of the best players in the league. And I think you can rectify 2 years later that mistake with this pick. That's all I'm going to say.
I am convinced that if you were to tilt your camera slightly left, it would just be a wall full of receipts. Like I'm just holding on to them.
They're all here, brother. I don't need a wall. They're all here, brother.
Awesome. All right. Well, look, I feel like this. So what I had in my notes here is best wide receiver available because I feel like the Cowboys need a weapon. There's so as you sort of pointed out, Brian, there are so many running backs, and with Genty off the board, who is obviously not going to be available. I don't think going to be available. So that'd be a complete shock. I can hear my son likely going to make his first podcast appearance of the day. I'm going to take Ted McMillan over here, and I'm going to let my. Are you happy with that pick, bud?
It's a good pick.
All right.
Hey.
But he won't be the wide receiver one. Hi, Fabian.
Can you wave? And can you do touchdown? Do touchdown. No, 2 hands.
One hand, that works. Half a touchdown.
Yeah, that counts.
Sorry, Ted McMillan is going to the Cowboys. Yeah, I feel like they need
Good
a wide
pick.
receiver to pair with CeeDee Lamb. And you know what? Ted McMillan has there's been some drafts that have really pushed him down the board, but I feel like as a wide receiver 2, you can't miss. If he was your wide receiver 1, there's a chance he doesn't live up to expectations.
Yeah, I agree. I like it. I can't knock it. I wanted you to take Omarion Hampton to right our wrongs of years past, but Brian said there's 22 draftable fantasy running backs this year, so Dallas can wait, and everybody can wait. Probably everybody will wait. The other positions will dry up quick, and then the running back runs will happen later, probably in this draft. But Omarion Hampton is, I'm officially on Hampton watch myself at this point.
I absolutely, I do. I agree with you, and I love him, but I just feel like at this position here, you're going to get what is kind of, I'm not going to say he's consensus 1, but he's pretty much consensus 1.
Behind Hunter.
Yeah, sorry, correct. I take that back. Consensus 2.
I said the same thing about Will Johnson, but Hunter is
it's
wide
weird.
receiver 1 and CB1. It's a weird year.
It is. It's an odd year. So yeah, so you get my point. Like at this point, they're going to get Ted McMillan, who is as a wide receiver 2. I don't think you can miss with him. And you still be able to pick up a running back who will be able to pound the rock.
I like the pick.
All right,
Yeah, it's the same reason why I took Warren for the Bears, right? Because it's like I love Hampton. Don't get me wrong, I love Henderson, but there's a lot of really good running backs. So why not go take McMillan here?
It's
I
fair.
actually really like the pick. I like the pick
fair.
at 12. Dallas can take a running back later.
Do it.
So I doubt that they'll do this, but this pick is on the block. If anybody would like to trade up with my Miami Dolphins up to 13, there's some edge rushers still available, some defensive line.
I think if Membu or Campbell were still available, Cincinnati would take a glance, but they're not. So I think we're going to stay put. Colts are going to stay put. Denver. Denver. We're going to stay put.
And in the NFL draft on Thursday, if Sanders doesn't go to the Saints at 9, this is where I think you might start seeing some of those teams like Pittsburgh, maybe 21-13. It's a little bit easier to eat than 21 into the top 10 at number 9.
Do you guys think there's ever been a year because I can't remember one, for God's sakes, but has there been a year where every team had a first-round pick?
Where every team had a first-round pick?
Yeah, there's no team has 2 picks this year. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I see what you mean. Where somebody doesn't have 2
Weird.
picks. I'm sure there has. I don't.
There has to have been, right? But
yeah,
this is a Jimmy Ray question. I'm just when I learned that recently doing studying for the draft, I was pretty surprised.
Yeah, I just did a quick look just to see what the Commanders had to offer, but I think with 5 picks, they're not going to move up. I feel like they could really use a strong edge here, but I'll have to say because they just don't have
Stick and
enough to
pick.
offer.
Stick
So
and pick.
it's once again, I fully expected that. I threw it out there. Didn't expect to get anything back. I would have been surprised if one of you guys wanted to move up. I'm gonna make a little bit of a surprise move here. I know that they drafted Chop Robinson last year and he had a great rookie year. I know Bradley Chubb is still there. But if I'm going, none of these picks are super exciting. And I don't want my first pick in this draft to be needs based unless it's a stud. So I'm going to go best player available. And in my mind, the best player still on the board is actually not one of those guys that I see there. I love me some Mike Green out of Marshall. I love me edge Mike Green, and getting him on the
Good
Dolphins, set your 2 edges up. Even if you have a lot of needs, look, their offensive line is in shambles. Armstead retired. Ramsey's getting traded. Javon Holland is off to the Giants. We lost Christian Wilkins 2 seasons ago. They don't have a plan anyway. You might as well get the best player there. So if I'm Chris Greer, I'm going to draft an edge. Wouldn't hate Shamar Stewart either. I really like Stewart. There's something about Mike Green that I think he's going to be a good pro. And so that's just a personal preference there.
I'm very upset as the Atlanta Falcons right now.
Oh, yeah. I scooped Atlanta at 15. Well, you can have Stewart. I don't think the Colts are maybe the Colts. Who knows? We'll go edge, but yeah.
I like it. I'm switching my audio source. I got a text from resident legit football watcher PK Martini that my mic was a little inconsistent.
It was going in and out.
We don't need to rock with that. You guys can hear me good?
Yes.
All right. That'll do. That'll do. 14. Colts, easy money. Easy money. Couldn't be happier that this guy fell to me. I personally I think the Colts have been like a very easy punching bag for all their little cute little 2nd and 3rd round tight ends that they've been drafting. It's been kind of ridiculous over the years to try to, Mo Alley Cox or Jelani Woods or insert random 3rd or 4th.
I really
round
liked
tight end.
Jelani Woods. I hate that he's just been hurt. He's just been hurt. It sucks.
Didn't we all? But Colston Loveland is the pick here. And when I saw I was managing the Colts, I was elated because I just hoped that he would fall. And Colston Loveland, like you said, 1AA tight end. Welcome to your new home. Welcome to being a featured weapon.
Yeah, great fantasy destination. Whether it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, having a nice tight end, and specifically this tight end, because he's a much better route runner than Tyler Warren. Warren is a more dangerous weapon, but Loveland is a more traditional tight end, really good blocker, great hands, still has some seam stretching ability, but he's just more of a traditional, like, line him up inside if you have to, move around outside, get him the football to a Daniel Jones who likes to throw short, or an Anthony Richardson that needs a safety blanket.
Couldn't be happier. Can't believe it. Sprint to the podium.
Love it. Good pick.
Thank you, sir.
Hemi Ray would be happy.
I only
all right.
did it for him.
I'm assessing edge defenders now because I'm taking. So if you remember the last year when we did this, I implored the Falcons to take an edge, and I don't remember who they took, and I don't remember who I implored them to take, but I remember he was a stud. I only remember that I'm right. I don't remember the defense. Jeff Ulbricht's there. Jeff Ulbricht has a 3-4 scheme. You need strong, fast edge defenders for that. And I'm looking who's available. I really wanted Mike Green. I'm very upset about that. I'm going to take Nick Scordon out of Texas A&M. He can play both 3-4, 4-3. And so depending where they go with that, I feel like he's the right pass rusher. He's going to be a pass rusher that they can use and kind of flexibly move him around. So I'm going to take him out of Texas A&M. I know did you say Shamar Stewart was your next pick, Brian?
No, I was saying Stewart is who I was considering with him and Mike Green. At 13.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna take Stewart, despite liking him also, but I am gonna take an edge for the Falcons because I feel like they need it. They do
need pass rush. Famously, that's a huge need for them.
And famously, they haven't had a double-digit sack. I can't remember how long it's been since.
It's like 20 years or something.
Yeah, ridiculous. So
it's been a long time.
So it's about time they invest the day one pick into it.
All right, Arizona's on the block. Anybody want to trade? By the way,
Brian's
this is what's going to happen.
Deal.
No, but there's just not these super exciting prospects. They're good prospects, but I think a lot of these teams are gonna just float out there. We know that Monty likes to deal, right? Austin Ford has made draft day trades before, so I think you could. Looks like Anthony's having issues.
Who did you draft, Adrian?
I've popped it in the chat to him.
Oh, cool.
Nick Gordon.
So yeah, I mean, feel free to tell me otherwise, but I'm assuming nobody wants to trade up to 16 for Arizona.
No,
I think this is going to be a common thing. You're going to have these GMs calling, and they're going to be like, I'm good. There's just nobody I'm excited to hop up and pick. Once again, if Shadur's on the clock, it's an entirely different scenario, especially if we're at 16 now. Now you're talking about 5 picks from Pittsburgh. So something to keep an eye on, but Shadur was taken at 9. A lot of needs on the line, both offensive and defensive for Arizona. So once again, I'll go BPA, and my BPA here is Walter Nolan, defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. Get somebody in there that can be just a solid plug-and-play guy. I think he can start early on in his rookie season. Arizona, like I said, they need help on both lines. You've got Gannon, who's a defensive coach. Why not get a nice stalwart there to plug in the middle?
Yep, and teams that are kind of in the middle or bad, I'm never, ever, ever going to knock them for taking a trenches guy. I'm never going to knock them because that is how the pendulum swings. It starts with a collapsed pocket. It starts with a couple sacks. It starts with some protection for your quarterback. Like, I mean, they just invested heavily in weapons in last year's class. It didn't really materialize into much. They feel a little bit like they're stuck in the mud, and let just what did you call it? Eat your vegetables.
Yeah, take your vitamins, eat your veggies.
Take a trench guy.
I'm not talking because I'm looking for a possible trade at 17. I'm just looking. All right, let me walk you through my thoughts here.
Let's talk about it. I'm listening.
We should be discussing this privately as GMs, but let's do it publicly.
Yeah, we haven't made any trades yet, have we? First 16 picks, 0 trades.
I should also mention we're halfway through this. We're halfway through this draft and at 52 minutes. No biggie. So, all right. I could see the Seahawks taking a wide receiver. I could see the Broncos taking a wide receiver. And as the Packers and the Chargers, and as the Packers, I'm thinking that the Bengals don't need a wide receiver. Not right. Don't. They definitely don't.
They don't. We don't. We're not going to be taking a wide receiver transparently.
So between pick 23 and pick 17, with what I think the Bengals would want, they're fairly safe to drop, pick up a little bit of assets and swap. So I'm trying to think. I don't want to offer too much because I don't feel like it's going to take too much.
Who wants to come up?
The Packers want to come up. The Packers want a wide receiver. They want to get ahead of what is likely a couple wide receiver picks in the next.
How far down are you guys?
23.
Okay. Picks. So we want 23. We want a second next year. And we want Keyshawn Nixon.
That's a lot for 6 picks in a middling draft.
And I can't give you Keyshawn because we're already stretched at cornerback. And
not high. Okay, guys, we can talk about it. First offer is never the final offer.
Okay,
especially with Kev because his first offer is always way too high.
Yeah,
I have a system. You guys are just impatient. I have a system.
Let me look at your draft picks and let me see what I can do here. All right.
Can I get a second next year?
I'll give you a third next year.
For 6 picks?
And now all right, how about this? I'll give you a third next year, and I'll do. Yeah, I think this is fair. I'll give you a third next year, and I will give you a round 2 pick swap, so you move up 6 spots. Oh no, wait, that's the other way around. I take that back.
Just FYI, I'm looking at the Jimmy Johnson trade chart, which I know is a little outdated at this point, but at least it gives us a basis for comparison. And an early third is the equivalent, according to the Jimmy Johnson trade chart, to move up from 23 to 16.
So we'll take
like pick 70.
We'll take a second and we'll do a pick swap. We'll take a third next year and we'll do a second round pick swap.
So it actually won't work because your second round is sooner than mine. So I'll give you a third round pick swap. So you're going to move up 6 spots this round 3. You're going to get a round 3 next year, and you're only dropping back 6 spots, and there's no one that's taking what I think you want.
Deal.
In that deal.
All
right, we're jumping up, and now this is the hard part, right? Because the Packers. So Packers, that's the trade swap. I mean, you can just probably just Anthony. I can't really see what the screen's showing, but if you just trade us around for whatever reason, and I'm going to I'm tossing up between Matthew Golden and Emeka Egbaka. I don't know if I've said that right. I am going to go Emeka Egbaka because I feel like there's a lot of
Amika Egbuka.
Thank you. All right.
I would have
What I
taken
might do is
Golden if I were you.
I understand that, and you know what? He had a faster 40, and we need a burner because Christian Watson's likely going to be out for at least the start of the season. And realistically, they need someone that can stretch the field consistently. And Christian Watson can do it when he's healthy, but that massive of when he's healthy caveat is the problem here. They haven't taken a wide receiver one again, famously in such a long time. Haven't taken a wide receiver in the first round for forever and a day. And as a final FU to Aaron Rodgers, they do it here. They get up and they get Egbuka.
Egbuka.
Okay.
Amika Egbuka.
Double E. Let's just call it. That's who's going to be known as from Double E.
Double E.
And they take him here from Ohio State. They get their wide receiver one. And there will be some people unhappy about that because they desperately need corners with Jair Alexander going. But it's just about time they took what will hopefully be a wide receiver one caliber player.
All right. And, sir, you are already back on the clock with
I am too.
Cincinnati or with Seattle.
Real quick, I just want to give 2 seconds of analysis of my personal opinion on this. First of all, I don't think the Packers take a wide receiver. I think this is a fan pick, which is fine. That's what we're doing. We're allowed to have our own.
I know.
Yeah, that's fine. I think the better positional one, because I do have Egbuka one spot ahead of Golden, but I had them really close in my wide receiver rankings. I think Golden is a better fit for what they need. Personally, I think Jaden Reed spent so much time in the slot. That's where Egbuka is going to play mostly. So then you're kind of and I still think Reed has got so much left to give. So that's my only thing. I think having a guy that can stretch on the outside makes more sense for the Packers than getting a guy like Egbuka, who's super solid and has a really high floor, but he is really more of a slot only guy.
That's a fair call. And now I want to kind of take it back because you've convinced me, and I'm but that's okay. All right,
the pick has been made. It's in ink.
All right, and now I'm back on the clock. All right, back on the clock. So now I, as a Seahawks, am extremely upset because I wanted Egbuka, even though I know I've got my JSN and Cooper Kupp, but I wanted a wide receiver to come in and give Sam Darnold another option. But I feel like the interior line needs building desperately now. You know what? Actually, can I offer this up for draft for pick? Does anyone want to trade the Seahawks? I'll give you a second.
No, I'm good.
We need elevator music here.
Hold on. I'm considering
the waiting music in the StreamYard lobby is fire.
Do we? Let me wait some. Do we have some? I only got the sad music on. This is the my team just got destroyed in the third. Are we looking, Brian?
I love
So I will offer you a 6th round pick as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to move up one spot to 18.
Yeah, you got it.
No deal.
Nah, you got it. You got it.
That's
look,
cheap.
if it is.
I assume I didn't even, do I have a 6th round pick? I'm pretty sure I do.
Let's just you know what, for the purpose of moving the show along, because we really are, we're at an hour already.
Yeah.
Let's just say yes. Adam, and you're now on the clock.
Yeah. Force it through so I see it. And should be forced. Yeah, click on. There you go. Bam. All right. So since I knew you guys heard me mention Shamar Stewart earlier, and I knew that edge is a need for the Seahawks as well. So I wanted to make sure, even though it's only one spot that I got him, I'm okay throwing in a later pick because I do need edge rush help. Tryon Trianka hasn't exactly been the stud that I hoped to be. He's solid and dependable, but I need a stud there in the pass rush. So I am going to draft Shamar Stewart edge out of Texas A&M at number 18 with the Bucs.
I like it.
Now I'm happy with that. Look, wait. So where I was going. Wait, sorry. You know what? Comment on that before I go to my pick. I like it. It's a good move, but it's not where I was going. Definitely wasn't going edge.
Oh wow. So free 6th round pick then.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I was. Well, look, to be honest with you, the Seahawks. All right, so I'll comment on both of these in order, right? So, like the Seahawks, I think desperately need interior offensive line help if they're not going to get the wide receiver that they want, which I think is Igbuka. Got it right that time, nailed it. That's why I was kind of comfortable trading back because I feel like the Bucks had other needs that was not their interior offensive line. Now, to say on that, and the reason I was happy to trade back is I'm taking Gray Zabel as the Seahawks, and I don't feel great about picking him at number 19.
I like Zabel though. I really like him as a prospect.
I do, but if I look down the list of needs for the next couple, I feel like I'll probably get him later. But so I'd be open to trading back again, but I won't for the sake of this. Let's just say so. I'll take Gray Zabel next to shore up their offensive line, and they'll roll with JSN and Cooper Cup for the moment. And did they get MVS? Am I going crazy? I'm going to confirm that.
Is he in Seattle?
Oh, there he is. You had to scroll for him.
Yeah. So that they'll roll with that as a trio, and that's that will be fine enough for Sam Darnold, and as long as they can keep him a little bit upright. So yeah, let's go with Gray Zabel.
They have him as a tackle, but he's playing on the interior in the NFL.
Well, yeah, I think actually, I'm thinking of someone else. I was going to say, can he play all 5 positions? But yeah, he's going interior.
Yeah, he's going to be. He actually those 2 picks, Shamar Stewart, Gray Zabel, both had excellent Senior Bowl weeks, so it's nice to see those 2 guys go 18 and
19. Zach Taylor is punching air right now because we definitely wanted a quality offensive lineman, but also we did just draft Marius Mims, so I think defense will probably be our look, but I think O-line.
Denver is picking right now, and you're talking.
No, yeah, but I traded down.
Oh, I see.
We could have maybe had him if we picked at 17, but we. Let's be real. If the Bengals don't draft a defensive player, their fans are going to slaughter them. So this is a no-brainer pick. This would have been the pick I would have traded up for, but I did the mental math, and neither of you, I was going to say neither of you fools, but that would be disrespectful. Neither of you guys seem to be looking at this player. So fantasy fans rejoice. Omarion Hampton is going to Denver, and we are going to have a little party because he's better than Javonte Williams. I know Brian's a huge Jaleel McLaughlin fan, but I think Omarion Hampton is the
not over Hampton. I like McLaughlin's going to end up being like a 3rd down back.
Hampton's the guy. He's going to be really good, and
he's my RB2.
It's a really good landing spot here. So we're having a party in the Denver War Room right now that we didn't have to trade up because we thought about doing it a couple times.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin's not happy. Mike Tomlin's
punching air.
Yeah. No, good pick. And I like Hampton. And weirdly, I know this is so stupid, but I also just like his name. And that, sometimes you hear a name like that guy's going to be a star. And Omarion Hampton just sounds like a guy who's going to be tearing through defenses.
I love it.
That's quality analysis you can expect here. His name is good.
I love it.
All right, I'm scrambling now.
You're up, Tomlin.
I'm scrambling. All right.
You know what? Hold on. Don't scramble. Okay. We can help you out here.
Tell me.
Cleveland's interested in coming in.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah, Cleveland's
I don't know as the Steelers if I want to trade with Cleveland, but you got my ear.
Let's see what the offer is.
We want to offer you Deshaun Watson.
Nope.
Just kidding.
Decline.
The phone. They're screening that call. They're not even getting through. We'll give you our 2nd round pick and our 1st next year to come in.
2nd round pick and 1st next year. And and I know this is splitting hairs here. What's your
Sorry, that's too much. Our 2nd round pick and our 2nd next year. That's what we're offering. That's our actual.
That's a decline.
Okay. Then, yeah. Then have fun.
All right. Hold on a second.
No, offers revoked.
All right. How about this? You give me your 2nd and one of your 3rds, the later 3rd, and your 2nd next year.
3rd next year.
Deal.
All right.
I don't think the Steelers would do this for the record, and I want to be accurate, but I don't feel like the Steelers will do this. But that's a pretty good haul, and the Steelers need to not go 9-8 this year. So yeah,
I also don't know if Cleveland would do this, but Armand, you just get me, man. You just get me. We're going to go up and we're going to look. I don't think this team, Myles Garrett was sold on some sort of a 5-year plan. I don't think it was revolving Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. I don't know if Dart is the guy, but in the spirit of his name and in the spirit of modern quarterback scouting philosophies, we're going to take a dart throw. We're going to take Jackson Dart here.
I get why you said that, but it just doesn't feel right. Dart throw. That's no. Come on, man. Do better.
A little too tacky.
A little too on the nose.
We love that on the show. We
do.
love that. On
I guess
the show.
that's a hallmark of the Legit Football Pod. Fair
I love it.
So since that pick is official, this is a good time to share that Jackson Dart is not my QB3. He's my QB4. Tyler Shuck out of Louisville.
He's been climbing boards lately.
Yeah,
Shuck has.
Still
he's good.
In context, he's good, but there's none of these quarterbacks are great, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, Ward is the only one I'm even remotely excited about. But of the guys that remain, I actually think Shuck has pretty good upside.
Yeah. Weirdly, Dart is PFF's QB7 and Shuck is QB8 on PFF.
We are taking a dart throw.
Yeah.
And we're
Kevin's just driving that one home. All right,
unabashedly.
Let's keep on rolling. Chargers on the clock at pick 22. They definitely need a wide receiver. This is not the spot to take it because the type of wide receiver that they need is not. They can get that in a later round. Obviously, you've got the Michigan angle from Harbaugh, and defensive tackle Kenneth Grant is still on the board. But I'm going to get a little spicy. We know how much Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball. They built a great offensive line. The running backs last year didn't quite get it done. Dobbins isn't even re-signed. Gus Edwards is, a shell of his former self, even if he was that good in the first place. So I need somebody to run this engine around, and I think Trevion Henderson is that guy. So as the LA Chargers, I'm drafting running back Trevion Henderson out of Ohio State with the number 22 overall pick, and I'll run the ball 40 times a game.
I love it.
Yeah, love it.
I really do love it. And I think it's the kind of thing where this draft is the kind of thing where the runs on running backs will happen. And there might be one in the first round. The books it's 1.5 first round running backs. So if you think Omarion Hampton's first round,
so pick, we already went over that. It's 1.5.
I think that's what I saw.
That sounds low because I think everybody thinks at least Hampton and
it might not be good odds. It might be like minus 320 or something like that. You might be able to get better odds if you go 2.5. And Brian, it sounds like Trevion Henderson is a first round talent to you.
He's fringe first round talent, but I just think the Chargers specifically, I don't know that I would have paired him with any of these other teams, but the Chargers have a solid offensive line. They've obviously got Justin Herbert. They found Ladd last year. You can get a wide receiver later. Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman want a running back to be the engine of their offense. And this just seems like a good opportunity. I would have taken Hampton here if Henderson went to the Broncos. I'm fine with either of those guys. I don't know about any of the other running backs I wouldn't take in the first, but those are the three. If I'm a GM, especially if I'm in the 20s, I'm comfortable taking in the first.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of weird how Henderson was sort of, if you don't have to go back that far, where Henderson was kind of like the number 2, and then Hampton kind of shot up, Scatterbo's jumped up a little bit, and it's just I find it funny how the draft works, how we can be so sure of something a month ago and it's changed so vastly, and that's why I love it. This is just my own little
fun.
Yeah, just jumping on the soapbox, just saying that the NFL has built a really good thing in the draft that wasn't a wasn't a milestone event 10 years ago, and I love it.
It's so entertaining.
I'm a big Scatterbo fan, but from what I understand, the media likes him better than NFL teams do. And it's not that they don't like him.
Second or third?
I think if he gets in the second, that would be a bonus for him. I think he might be late day 3. Yeah.
So we're up Cincinnati. We're going to up the pace of this a little bit just to get through it. Adrian has husband and father responsibilities. So does Brian McFadden. Meanwhile, I have a cravings box from Taco Bell to get to. So we're all doing big things. Cincinnati Bengals. I think we got to go defense. I don't know if Hendrickson is going to be the guy in the future. I think Michael Williams, is he still on the board?
Yeah.
We like Williams
Williams
here.
is still available.
And at 23, we feel like he's a steal. We would have considered him at 17. Give us Williams.
You got to go edge with everything that's going on with Hendrickson.
Yeah. It's our hedge.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Emotional edge.
Emotional edge. All right. Anyways, really, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. We're after an hour. That's how it gets on Legit Football. I'm up with Minnesota.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Minnesota is an interesting one, and we are shopping the pick. We're listening to offers 30 seconds max.
All right. I'm calling you as the Ravens.
We're answering.
I don't know what our draft picks is up. I apologize to the listeners hearing my keyboard type in the background. I didn't expect this to be available, and so you've kind of caught me off guard. Now oh my god, the Ravens have so many picks. Okay, what are we moving up? Let me have a look. 27 to 24. How about I just throw you? How about I throw you a fourth and a sixth?
And your 20, a fourth and a sixth to move up 4 spots.
Sorry, a fourth and a sixth. So you get my 27 and a fourth and a sixth. That's only 3 spots.
100%.
It's a deal and a half.
That is a very good deal.
I probably could have given you. We've got 4 sixes. Jesus Christ. Okay. So I am jumping up, and I want to make sure I pronounce his name right here. So, and I actually can't believe he's still on the board. Hold that thought. Continue holding the thought. All right. Jahdae Barron. I said that Jahdae.
Yeah, I figured that's who you were going with. Yeah,
and it's good.
That's a very good value.
I can't believe he's still available here, and that's probably why I overpaid a little bit. And I also worry that the Vikings would take him, and so I have to overpay a little bit to kind of get him away from you because you could arguably see him going top 10. For the Ravens to grab him at 24 would be one of those things that the Ravens tend to do. They tend to pick really good value players, and this is one of them.
I did a mock earlier today, actually for that mock draft contest with Pick Pull Through Legit, and I can't remember if it was Barron or if it was Johnson, but I put a cornerback with Minnesota. So you're right there that I do think that Brian Flores' defense could definitely be looking to corner if one of those 2 guys is available. So smart move.
We felt good about what was on the board, what we were getting back, and the fact that we were just a playoff team without even our future franchise quarterback in. So we felt okay to just collect some assets and defer this pick to a little later.
Nice.
All right, let's keep on rolling. I am not looking to trade this pick as the Texans. We had a horribly underperforming season last year, mainly due to a putrid offensive line play.
Yes.
And we're reshuffling the deck completely, but also we got rid of the only good offensive line that we had in Laramie Tunsil. So I'm going to have to go offensive tackle here. There are still a couple that I have quasi first round grades on, but I will go with Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. I need offensive line help across the board. Simmons is the pick.
I like it.
Eating my vegetables.
Sorry,
so much of that.
I'm distracted by a second. There's not normally a second podcast appearance by the little man, but he decided.
Oh, look at him! Yeah, he's a star, bro. Well, it's a long show. It's an exception.
Yeah, he expects it to be too. Sorry, I'm digressing us here. So no, good pick, and I think the Texans definitely needed the help. Let's be honest. I feel like that's if they didn't address offensive line, there'd be a problem.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of like Cincinnati with defense. I think Houston with O-line is like there should be a riot if they don't address the O-line.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the clock with LA, my home team, or I guess where I live team. I think we would like to. Do you guys mind showing us? I'd like to look at the best edges available. Anthony? Can you by chance show us that? If there's any names there that I just can't pass on. We like Jared Verse a lot, but we feel like we're just going to continue to invest in our defensive line. How about interior defensive line? You got an interior defensive lineman?
I don't know if you want my opinion on this.
No, I'd be happy to hear it. I'm a little lost here.
I feel like James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee is a Rams type of pick.
That's the one. I was looking at I was looking, I'll be honest with you. Those top 3 names were all in consideration. Pierce, Grant, and the guy that I can't pronounce. Can you say that for me, Brian?
Omar Norman Lott?
No, above it.
Oh, the BC guy?
Donovan Ezuraku.
Donovan Ezuraku. Yeah.
Ezuraku.
Yeah.
And pretty much any of those three. But you know what? I think McVay got a call from Snead, and that's you, McFadden, and we're gonna lock it in. We like Pierce here. We trust our guys' opinion. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go.
Pierce was viewed close to top 10 at one point, and he's falling, but not for any reason that seems to be quantified.
Tangible.
It's like people just like other people better, but he's still a great prospect. He just feels like a Rams type of guy to me.
Very Ramsey. Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Let's lock it up.
You're back on the clock as well.
That's right, with Minnesota. And this is a tough one. I know we talked corner. Can I take one look at those corners, please, Mr. Anthony? Because there's a couple corners I want, and it would be disingenuous.
A couple good safeties too. I like the safeties that are on the board.
Oh, you know what? I was between. Can you go back up to the top of those really quick?
Oh,
is Amos
Morrison.
the top? I'm flipping a coin. KOC, I'm on the phone. Both of you, actually. I got two phones going right now. Amos or Starks. I'm flip a coin. I like either.
I mean, I like Starks. I think he's a fantastic player.
Aid, lock it up. Do we go with Starks for Minnesota?
Yeah. He got knocked a little bit. His athletic testing wasn't quite what people thought, which is why he's knocked down. But once again, just watch the tape how he plays at Georgia. I mean, PFF has him as the number 9 overall.
I like it.
Board.
Bring him in.
Yeah. Am I Detroit? I am. All right. Well, I will ask our producer to give his opinion based on who is available. Actually, the guy he said he wanted is still on the board.
You're kidding.
Let's bring him in.
You have to do it. I feel like you have to do it.
I think I might have to.
I didn't mean to remove you there.
Oh, it's okay. I wanted Matthew Golden to go to the Lions, but the chances of that happening very low.
Well, it's happening, dude.
Not as per
I'm doing it. Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas.
I love it.
To the Detroit Lions.
It's a fan pick.
If Pierce was there, I mean, I think they showed last year they need another edge outside of Hutchinson, so that's a consideration here. But with Pierce getting taken, I'm gonna do the fun thing for the fans. Our Lions fans are so good to us, and I'm gonna draft Matthew Golden out of Texas.
Jameson, Amon-Ra, Golden. That's just Laporta. Yeah. The weapons there. Goff is the most spoiled man in the NFL.
Our new OC was a wide receiver coach.
I love it. Go get your guy, Ant.
Jared Goff's pretty close to his prime. It's looking good. I love that offense.
Yeah, Goff's a stud. All right, Aid.
All right. Commanders, Dante Fowler's gone. Lost him in free agency. And I feel like, look, if Barron was available here, I'd be taking him, but he's obviously not. So I am going to take, can you just pronounce it for me? Edge rusher.
Ezraku.
Donovan Ezraku.
Thank you. All right. If Brian wasn't here, we would be making egregious pronunciation mistakes. So I'm so happy about that. So I'm taking an edge for the Commanders. I feel like it's probably their biggest need. They definitely need a corner as well. But with Barron out, I feel like this is probably the best value pick.
And you know what, Mr. PK Martini, I don't want you to influence Brandon Bean's head like that, okay? I have a really good plan, so I appreciate your input, but I am declining the call because we happen to luck into actually really, if the board shook down like this and I was a Bills fan, which I am, I'd be having a little party because I love Kenneth Grant and I love Trey Amos, and they're both available. I think, given my fear of respect to one of my all-time favorite Buffalo Bills, Tre'Davious White, respect to his signing the other day, I would, if he was out there as our CB2, I would have a panic attack. So give me Trey Amos, who's going to start opposite Christian Benford, and absolute party.
I think you should trade it. I mean, why don't you just give the Chiefs another burner? Yeah, good pick.
Yeah, I'm running up. Oh, I was ready to make my pick. I'm going up to the podium.
Do we like the Amos pick to the Bills though? That's the no-brainer, right? Corner.
I do. I was hoping you wouldn't take Grant because I want to take Grant as the Chiefs.
I love Grant.
So yeah, Kenneth Grant falling to 31
Crazy.
All day.
Not going to happen.
They're really just looking to address their offensive defensive line in KC. So
this is going to be, somebody has to get a screenshot of our draft. We have to post it because this is going to be one of those posts that we all get canceled for. Like we're all gonna get absolutely
Every
dragged
mock
for it.
draft gets canceled because everyone is so way all over the place this year.
Yeah.
Am I the only one? Can I just throw a bit of shade PFF's way? They've got wide receiver as the biggest need for the Eagles. Am I the only one that does not feel that to be true?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah,
sorry,
I don't get it. Oh, that's the last pick, huh? And that's that me?
Yes.
All right. What are
Yeah.
we thinking, guys? We got any strong leans here?
Not wide receiver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
You know what? They're pretty good at receiver. How do we feel about their O-line? We like the guys who they got in there right now because I love Banks. I really like who can you?
I
Anthony,
mean,
can you
Lane
go back to the
Johnson
top?
is probably what he's got maybe a year left, so you might want to
I
look
was
about.
I was thinking Banks or Campbell.
Is
but-
Starks off the board?
No,
Oh,
yeah,
Starks?
Starks is Malachi Starks is a Viking.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
he went to Minnesota. Yeah,
Yes, I
They
did.
lost Becton. Maybe we grab Banks and just solidify what's already been a strength for that team.
yeah. I
Does
don't. I
that feel-
can't. I'd be fine with Campbell too, but Banks. Yeah, they love building that offensive line. It's what won them a Super Bowl and got them to another Super Bowl. So.
Lock it up. And ladies and gentlemen, thus concludes Legit Football's first round mock draft. So fun, so exciting. I cannot wait to get absolutely dragged for these picks on Twitter. It was such a pleasure doing business with you boys as usual. Final thoughts, boys.
Did you say Campbell? Did we not? Oh no, I was going to say we took Will Campbell early.
No,
He's-
it's
Yeah,
Jihad
Campbell went to
Campbell.
That
New
would've-
England.
that would have been
The
absurd.
linebacker.
Sorry. Yes. Yeah. That final thoughts is we're 100% right, like we always are. Everyone else is wrong.
Absolutely. Brian?
Yeah, it's one of those drafts that's just like, yeah, it could be this. It could be. There's just a lot of
It's like March
responsible
Madness.
picks. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also just a lot of responsible picks. Last year was so different. There was so many blue chip players at offensive tackle, at wide receiver, at quarterback. Here it's just more like, okay. They're good.
Yeah.
By the way, there's really good NFL players in this draft. I'm not saying there's not. There's just not a lot of elite blue chip talent, and it makes these
Yeah.
drafts a little bit more unpredictable. But
I heard
that's what makes it fun.
Second to fourth round is where you want to take as many dart throws in this draft as possible because
Yes.
that's where the meat of this draft is. And you
Yep.
could see it from the names that are still on the board after today. Like,
Corner, defensive tackle,
yep.
running back.
Good.
Obviously, we already mentioned tight end. Actually, there's some decent middle round tight ends this draft.
Corner and defensive tackle, it's a good year for those to be my top needs for the Bills. Luther Burden would have been in consideration at 30, if I'm being honest, but had to again do the responsible thing. We don't want.
I don't like Burden in that
Geriatric.
offense. I think Burden has to go to a very specific offense, personally.
Yeah, absolutely. So without further ado,
Can I-
Anthony,
wait,
it was
before
great
you
to have
do-
you back. Yes.
Genuine question is just real quick to wrap it up. Over under correct picks 5.5.
Way
As
over.
in our picks versus
Way over.
correct picks
Way
to team.
over?
I would think we get.
I'd be happy with 6.
I
Yeah,
think we get.
I think anything after pick 4, I'm confident in Genty to the Raiders. That's 5, and that's
More-
I think
Or
Mason,
Hunter
Mason
Carter.
Graham to the Jags is more likely than not. Those first 6 picks, even Membu, I think 8 is where it really
We
gets.
will have 8 correct picks. That's my prediction.
I'm fine with 8. Yeah. Let's
okay.
go.
Taking the over. All right.
I'm taking me over. All right, boys, it's been a pleasure. I'm so happy to have you, Brian. It's always great to have you back. We gotta try to get here now that the draft is happening. It's basically football season, so we got to get you back on here as much as we can. Aid, Anthony, amazing to see you guys. We need NFL Stats Jimmy Ray back here, but ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the Legit Football NFL podcast. Subscribe to Legit Football at legitfootball.com. Free daily newsletter. 6 NFL headlines in your inbox every morning. Thank you guys for checking it out. Armand, Joe Crack, PK Martini, all the GOATs. We will catch you guys on the flip.